mental health. And a friend, he said, well, Nelson, I'm having a mental health crisis. I don't think I want to be here anymore. I said, hey, man, I'll get a Uber, I'll come and see you. This was at 3 a.m. in the morning. So I went and saw him, and I said, what's going on? He said, this has been going for a while, he's stressed. He's thinking about committing suicide. I said, don't do it, not yet anyway, let me talk to you. Then I said, look, I will tell a story of a guy. And then his name was Steve. So Steve was born from a Syrian father, and then an American mother, Catholic, of German origin, I believe. But they had this child, they were young, and then they thought that the parents would not approve of the relationship because he was Syrian, she was Christian. So they decided to give the child into adoption. And then this child grew up in a family that, you know, and then the parents, the new parents, at one point they were honest. They told the boy, look, you were adopted. And he then he was normal until then, and then he developed self-esteem issues, self-hatred, behavioral issues at school. And then he started, as a teenager, he had the problems, difficult character. And then he started to get into drugs. But at 21, he decided to create a business. He creates a business, and he has a girlfriend, difficult relationship with his girlfriend. He has a child, and then he didn't want to recognize the paternity of the child. He became very wealthy, but he's still dealing with mental health. So, but then this guy, then he found Zen Buddhism. He healed himself. He became a successful entrepreneur, very successful, and today he's known as Steve Jobs. He said, what? I said, yes. He said, Steve Jobs had mental health problems. I said, yes. Steve Jobs from childhood, he spent all his childhood battling mental health problems. But then he healed himself. So, and I said to him, look, I'm telling you this story because I want you to understand that mental health is not a 5 days thing. Healing yourself for mental health is not a 5 days process. I know you're going to find people on the internet who are going to try to sell you this idea that you can heal yourself with this. You have to pay them, by the way, for you to heal yourself. No. And let's go back into Steve Jobs. So when we talk about mental health is not a 5 days thing. In many cases, it starts in childhood. There is a relationship, there is a breakdown of relationship between the mother and the father. And then the child will develop what is called the complex of inferiority. There are two ways into this. So your mom and your father, they divorce. So your father is abusive to your mom and is abusive to you. You develop the complex of inferiority. This is a mental health problem, right? So mental health is not just anxiety or depression or addiction. No, the addiction is just to mask the mental health, by the way. Right? Hi, it's Nelson here. What role are you playing in your life? Are you the prince or the princess, the warrior, the lover, the magician, or the king? If you are interested, if you like our content about Kemet, about psychology, about mythology, about healing yourself, about growing and developing, go into the comment section. There is a link, you can join our community. So we are creating a community for people to come and get the help they need, grow and develop and become successful kings and successful queens. So I had many people who helped me a lot in my life, many people. So myself and Brother Clinton, he's based in the United States, I'm based in the UK with Brother Angelo. We want to help as many people as possible. So if you need help, you want to develop, you want to grow, it might be finance, it might be grow, personal development, self-healing. So just, join self-healing. Join our community, so click on the link below, join our community, and then start learning. Because the more you learn, the more powerful you become. Knowledge is power. You become powerful by collecting the right knowledge, the knowledge of the self. So the prince or the princess, the warrior, the lover, the magician, or the king or the queen. Do you want to create your own kingdom, for example? Do you want to develop? Do you want to grow? Do you want to understand yourself? Do you want to heal yourself? Do you want to succeed in life? join our community and share your views. Join our community where you can share your views, your comments. It's all private, so there is no censorship. You can grow, you can learn and develop and become that beautiful human being which your mom and dad created you to be. So join us and start your hero journey. So addiction is a means to try to escape, to numb the pain which starts in childhood. And then there is the mental health. But then understand that mental health, what we call mental health, is not a 7 days thing. It takes time. It takes time to heal yourself. It takes time to learn to love yourself. It takes time. And it will take sometimes decades. Now, what you cannot do if you don't want it to last decades, you need to start the process of healing yourself. Self-healing takes time. Met a lady for my sex with a boyfriend, and then I needed healing because my father abused me when I was a child. She was just trying to get my technique on what I do to heal people. Went into Instagram, she's now a healer. No. You have to heal yourself, and healing takes time, right? Mental health affects every human being on the planet. So if you are facing mental health challenges, addiction, depression, anxiety, you're not alone. But then when you decided to start the process of healing yourself, talking about it helps a lot. But talking about it to who? Well, females are great because females, they talk to each other. But males, they don't talk to each other. Males, they just hide, right, the pain. They numb the pain because it's not the alpha male who confesses his own weaknesses. But understand that what we call mental health, the subject of mental health, it takes time. So if you are battling mental health, you have to be patient. You have to be patient with the healing. Let's look into the journey of self-healing from a mental health problem, for example. There are 7 stages of mental health healing. The one I use for myself, by the way. I'm sharing my own personal experience here. I'm not a doctor, but I'm sharing my personal experience on how I overcome mental health challenges. So I'm growing up, so I was born in Africa, and then my mother and father, I was born in Africa, and then my mother and father, they divorced. I'm a child, I'm about 7, 8, 9 years old. I'm not aware of divorce, I'm not aware of conflicts between the family, but then I'm aware at one point I'm not living with my mom. My mom is in the countryside, my father is in the city, and then he goes to Lisbon. And then I move from Mozambique, I go to Lisbon with my father. So then there is a separation between the mother and the son. So then I'm growing up with my father and my brothers and sisters, but I'm not with my mother. So then this then creates psychological anxiety, creates spiritual anxiety or psychological stress. I'm not aware of it because I'm a child. I'm growing up. So this is the first stage of a mental health journey, is that there is an event. There is an event in your life, in a person's life, but the person usually as a child or even as an adult, they don't realize that the impact of these events. You don't realize the impact of the relationship with your father, the relationship with your mom. You think, okay, I'm growing up, and then my parents divorce, I will just have to cope. But in this trying to coping mechanism, addiction to video games, addiction to cigarettes or alcohol and misbehavior, this attempt to cope with the negative event then will generate emotions, okay? So first stage is an event. The second stage is a development of emotions, a development of an energy. And remember, in the physics, energies create personality, okay? So the energy will create a personality, and the personality is unhealthy. And you're trying to cope. Maybe you're working too many hours, maybe you become addicted to something, you're trying to cope with the memories. So first stage is event. Second is the development, the creation of an energy, is a negative energy. The third stage, in my case, is, there was an event, my parents divorced. Second stage, I'm developing a negative energy. The third stage is the manifestation of this energy, right? So, I mean, you are a child, you're trying to grow up, but then the energy starts to manifest. In some cases, it's bad behavior. In some cases, it's becoming an introvert. becoming an introvert. Close yourself. You close yourself into the world. So stage number 1, there is an event. Stage number 2, the creation, development of an energy. Stage number 3 is an introvert personality. And then the personality, there is a behavior. And stage number 4 is numbness. Become numb. You are aware as a human being that something is not right with me, but you become numb to it, to the pain. Stage number 5 is when then as an adult there is a behavior. And then some people, they start to take medication or anxiety, right? Stage number 5 is a physical manifestation. Stage number 6 is you have tried all sorts and you tried a therapy. A therapy, this could be an organic therapy, a conventional therapy, or stage number 7 is then the healing. You find the healing, you liberate yourself. So 7 stages of finding yourself, of healing yourself from mental health. Now, these 7 stages could take 7 years. They could take, they could take 7 months if it's a very intense. In my case, my parents died in 2012, my mom, and then 2019 I published my book. So it took me from 2012, all this process of changing my diet, changing myself, giving up the old self, and then finding myself. Number 7 is the number of completion in the ancient world. So if you are battling mental health, understand that it's not a 7 days process. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It might take some time for you to heal yourself. So my name is Nelson, and I want to welcome you to our community. We ask a question: what role are you playing in this season of your life? Is the prince? You are the warrior, the lover, the magician, the king, or the queen. You come into the world with a mission, and your mission is to create a kingdom. You can either maintain and grow the kingdom of your mom and dad. You can also go and find a job and try to survive. But we believe that you came into the world with a mission, and the mission is to create a kingdom. And this kingdom will manifest in your life as a family, as a business, as your mental health, as your assets. So we will be delighted to talk to you about your kingdom, to inspire you to create your own kingdom. Join our community and start your journey, start your hero's journey. Into the subject of mental health, we'll look into your journey. Overcoming the trauma. So we go into ancient, there is a mental health, and then how do you deal with it? What do you do to overcome it? Look into the examples. For example, we go into ancient Himalayas, and we find a prince called Siddhartha Gautama. Siddhartha Gautama was a prince from the Shakyamuni clan. His father, his mother, they are the king and queen. He's very wealthy. So he's very wealthy, but at one point he started to exhibit signs of depression, signs of anxiety. And then the servants, they go into the king and said, hey, your son is not doing well. And then they said, okay, take him into the forest. So they take the prince, take him into a local park, amusement park. So they take the prince, and then when he goes on his way there, he sees an old man. He asks, what is that? What's going on with that person? He said, old age. He's shocked, didn't know what old age was. Because he lived in such a secluded environment, in a world of illusion, right? Maya. And then the second stage, he goes home, he's shocked. They take him back again to the local park, and then he sees a diseased person being very sick. He said, what is that? That's the decay. He's diseased. He's shocked. And then, okay, the next stage, he goes back home, he's shocked, and then they take him back for the 3rd time. He sees a dead person being taken away. He said, what is that? That is death. So then the prince, he's shocked. He goes home, he cuts his hair, his long hair. He gives up. He decides to go into the forest to meditate. Right? At first, he's a vagabond. He gives up all this wealth. He gives up all his ego. And then he goes into the forest. At one point, he starts to meditate. So in your mental health journey, for you to heal yourself, is that you have to give up your old self. You have to give up your ego, your old self, in order to find your new self. So what this means is there is the death of the old self, there is the birth of a new self. This is the hero's journey. So in the hero's journey, so I wrote a book called The Hero's Journey, and then I tell my story. So for you to heal yourself from mental health, it could be depression, it could be anxiety, it could be low self-esteem, it could be addiction. It could be addiction to food, addiction to sugar. For you to heal yourself, you have the journey of the Buddha who leaves the palace. He gives up his ego. He cuts his hair. I mean, in his culture, hair symbolized power, symbolized identity, symbolizes material wealth. But then he gives up the old identity. On your journey to heal yourself from mental health, you need to understand the 7 stages first, but then you need to give up the old self. As part of your healing, you need to give up the old self and start a new self, a new transformation, a new journey. And this is the difficult part. Let's say your mental health is caused because of an abuse, sexual abuse or rape during childhood. That experience, that negative experience, has created an identity, right? And then your sickness, your mental health sickness, is attached to that identity. And then it manifests itself as the alcohol, as the addiction, as the alcohol addiction, as the drug addiction. For you to heal yourself, you need to give up the old self and create a new self. Okay? So we go back again to ancient Kemetic culture. We have the Ra and Amen Ra. There is the visible self and there is the invisible self. So the sun goes on a journey on a daily basis, and then he has to die. As he goes into the darkness, he becomes a new identity. Into the sunset, he dies. So there is the daylight, the son of the daylight, he goes into the darkness. When he comes up as Amen, invisible. So in your life, understand this, when you're battling your mental health, there is the visible self, there is the invisible self. The visible self is the person who's suffering. But the invisible self is also suffering because of memories, the spiritual self. There is the physical and the spiritual. So what we need to do is that we need to go and heal the spiritual first, and then it will manifest on the physical. What most people tend to do when it comes to mental health is that they take the drugs or whatever they're given to them, they try to heal the physical self. So they say, well, I'm not drinking for 30 days. Great. But then the physical self will come back and say, I need more alcohol. So what we need to do is to go and heal the spiritual self. And that's why you have the meditation. The meditation is a very powerful, very ancient culture, very ancient self-healing ritual which will enable you to heal the spiritual self. Okay, understand this. The spiritual self is the secret for you to heal yourself, to overcome mental health challenges. It is the spiritual, which then will manifest in the physical. Hi, it's Nelson here. What role are you playing in your life? Are you the prince or the princess, the warrior, the lover, the magician, or the king? If you are interested, if you like our content about Kemet, about psychology, about mythology, about healing yourself, about growing and developing, go into the comment section. There is a link, you can join our community. So we are creating a community for people to come and get the help they need, grow and develop and become successful kings and successful queens. So I had many people who helped me a lot in my life, many people. So myself and Brother Clinton, he's based in the United States, I'm based in the UK with Brother Angelo. We want to help as many people as possible. So if you need help, you want to develop, you want to grow, it might be finance, it might be grow, personal development, self-healing. So join self-healing, join our community, so click on the link below, join our community, and then start learning, because the more you learn, the more powerful you become. Knowledge is power. You become powerful by collecting the right knowledge, the knowledge of the self. So the prince or the princess, the warrior, the lover, the magician, or the king or the queen? Do you want to create your own kingdom, for example? Do you want to develop? Do you want to grow? Do you want to understand yourself? Do you want to heal yourself? Do you want to succeed in life? Join our community and share your views. Join our community where you can share your views, your comments. It's all private, so there is no censorship. You can grow, you can learn and develop and become that beautiful human being, which your mom and dad created you to be. So join us and start your hero journey. Let's say you are committed to heal yourself. You're committed to transform your life, to overcome mental health challenges. Where do you start? Well, the first is to start an inner dialogue and bring the inner dialogue into the physical world. What tends to happen is this: there is a traumatic event in your life, or there was a traumatic event in your life in childhood, and then maybe there was not a traumatic event, it's just life takes over, and then there starts a negative dialogue, an internal negative dialogue. I'm not good enough, I'm not beautiful, I don't have what I want, I'm not famous on Instagram, I don't have the followers I want, I don't have the money I want, my dad left me, my dad ignored me, never met my father doesn't like me, I am poor, I'm this. So this is the inner dialogue, it's a negative dialogue. And it starts to accumulate, it starts to become overwhelming. So if you look into the book, The Hero's Journey, for example, that I wrote, the latest volume, I talk about the 5 minds, okay? This is very important. So we tend to think we have one mind. In reality, there are 5 minds, right? We have 5 minds. The first mind is called the thinker. The second mind is called the observer. The third mind is called the commentator. The fourth mind is called let me go back. The first mind is called the thinker. The second mind is called the observer. The third mind is called the commentator. Now, the third mind is called the judge. It decides. The fourth mind is called the commentator. And the fifth mind is called the doer. So there is a play by William Shakespeare called Othello. Othello was a general, very successful general. But then he had a friend who was a jealous friend, who was a malicious friend called Iago. And Iago, he was jealous of his friend and he wanted to destroy him. So we have the mind of a general, right? He's the thinker, he's the doer. He becomes a victim of the commentator, because Othello, he's the general, very famous, but then he starts to listen, to pay attention to the commentator, who's Iago. And then Iago was jealous of Othello, and then he conspired to get Othello literally killed. And then he told Othello that his wife, Desdemona, was cheating on him. Othello believed, and then he ended up killing his wife. So in your mental health journey, as you start your healing journey, understand that you have 5 minds in your life. Which mind is the most dominant mind? Is the thinker, is the observer, is the doer, or is the commentator? So the commentator is always commenting in your life, is always telling you things, even if they're the negative things. Okay? So the first thing is to silence the commentator. Most people are dominated by the commentator. Oh, my friend's committed suicide. My friend committed suicide. Should I commit suicide? Oh, I need drugs. I need alcohol. I'm sad. I'm not good enough. I didn't save my friend. Wow, my father doesn't like me. So this is the commentator. We need to silence the commentator. So when it comes to silencing the commentator, where do we start? We go into the mind, which we call the observer. The observer is the mind that meditates, is the meditative mind. So we need to awaken the observer's mind. So for you to heal yourself from mental health challenges, to overcome mental health, you need to understand this very important principle. You don't have one mind, you have 5 minds. You have the thinker, you have the observer, you have the judge, you have the commentator, and you have the doer. So then ask yourself, who is the commentator? What is the dialogue coming out of the commentator? Well, the best way is to extract the dialogue from the commentator by journaling. you need to start journaling, right? You need to start to write your thoughts on a piece of paper, and believe me, you will see the difference. So, you know, and you are liberating yourself. Why? It's because the inner dialogue creates emotions, and the emotions get stuck in your lower chakras, and your lower chakras, they generate energy. Energy becomes feelings. Feelings leads to behavior, and behavior leads to more feelings. Now, so if the energy is negative, the feelings will be negative. So what you do then, you extract your thoughts from your mind out into the world by writing, journaling. Right? All of this is part of the hero's journey, by the way. You can go into the book, there is all of this. So when it comes to your mental health, understand you need to silence the observer. Now, you need to silence the commentator, the mind, which is called the commentator. Then there are two ways to do this. Number one is journaling. You need to write your thoughts on a piece of paper. Number two is meditation. Meditation. Go back into the story I just told you about Siddhartha Gautama, the prince from the Shakyamuni clan. He healed himself through meditation. So meditation is this very ancient culture, very ancient tool which you can use to overcome mental health problems, mental health challenges. Now, you can take drugs. You are welcome to do that. I'm not no one to stop you that. I'm not a psychiatrist. You can do whatever you want, but understand that you need to silence. It's not even silence, it's to change the inner dialogue. And then there are two ways to do this: meditation and journaling. So today, take a break from this video and start the exercise. You can take a piece of paper and just start writing. Start writing. You can actually have two pieces of paper. One is called the negative voice, another one is called the positive voice, or the positive me, or the positive negative me. You can give it names, and then allow the negative self to talk, to express itself, to extract himself or herself. Allow the positive self also to express yourself on paper. And then let's go into the meditation. So the first stage of this exercise is journaling. We need to write. The second stage, let's do the meditation. The meditation, because meditation is the bridge between the physical and the spiritual. We have the physical self, is physical you, right? Exists, behaves, but there is also the spiritual you, is invisible. So there is the physical Nelson who's talking and making all these movements, but there is also the spiritual Nelson who then connects on a spiritual level. So meditation brings the physical Nelson back into the spiritual. So I was talking to a friend, and then I said to him, look, when we were born, there is actually, before we come into the world on a physical level, there is a primordial being, an ancestral being, and that being exists before we come into the world. And then we spend 9 months in the womb of our mother, right? Every human being spends 9 months in the womb of the mother. So 9 months doing what? 9 months meditating. 9 months meditating. We are meditating all the time for 9 months. But then we come into the physical world, and then we start to grow up. So there is the spiritual here that is meditating, is the magician, becomes the physical, the baby, the child, the teenager, the adult. So we are moving further and further from the spiritual. And then eventually we die, we go back into the spiritual, invisible again. So while we are alive, we can go back from the physical into the spiritual again. And then we're going to heal ourselves if we do that. The best way to do that is through meditation. So we're going to go now into a meditation exercise. So you can listen to the meditation, and then I hope you will feel. This is only 10 minutes meditation. You can follow the guided meditation, or you can just stay silent. But you need to get into the meditation to heal your mental health. To overcome mental health challenges, you will need meditation. Let's get started. Hi, it's Nelson here. What role are you playing in your life? Are you the prince or the princess, the warrior, the lover, the magician, or the king? If you are interested, if you like our content about Kemet, about psychology, about mythology, about healing yourself, about growing and developing, go into the comment section. There is a link. You can join our community. So we are creating a community for people to come and get the help they need. Well, very much indeed for watching this very short episode dedicated to mental health. Whether you are fighting depression, anxiety, maybe it's a generational trauma. I'm talking to a friend and we're talking about the generational trauma. So he was as a child, his mother and father used to have a conflict. And then he finds out that his mother is bipolar. And then he goes and lives with his uncle is bipolar. And I said, whoa, what's going on here? We're dealing with a collective trauma. Members of the same family, they are bipolars. Then if we go back into their own family, we'll find out that they experience trauma as children. And then as they grow up, they're passing this trauma to their own children. So then we have a collective trauma. There is the individual trauma, but there is also collective trauma. And the collective trauma will then create what we call generational trauma. So the children who are traumatized, they become teenagers, they become adults, they traumatize their own children. The children of the new children will go, so it becomes a cycle. There is a point when we have to stop this thing. We need to change the chapter here. And then these programs, these episodes, which are designed to help you, right, for you to overcome your mental health. But also you say, no, I don't have any mental health, I'm healthy. But look at your friends, look at your childhood friends, look at your colleagues at work, look at your boyfriend, your partners or girlfriend, at your brothers and your sisters, at your siblings. Is there any symptom of a mental health challenge? Now, if they have, you can share these fragments and this will help them. Because I'm not coming from a perspective. My source is not, I'm not a doctor. I just went through a very difficult challenge in my life. When my parents died, I had a mental health crisis. And then I went on a hero's journey. And I wrote a book called The Hero's Journey. So wherever you are in your journey, how you come into this, maybe it's a mental health caused by depression, by anxiety, by low self-esteem, I don't know. These episodes are designed to help you to find yourself, to love yourself, and to heal yourself. But also remember, self-healing takes time. Self-healing takes time, and it might take 2 years, it might take 1 year, it might take 3 months. Some of the people who came and spoke to me, they were able to heal within months. But then others, they need 1 year or 2 years. In your journey, as you start the self-healing journey, understand that it's not a 7 days process. It takes time. Be patient with yourself, love yourself, and invest in yourself. Now, what I will ask you to do from now is that start journaling from today. Start journaling, start writing, and then also start meditating. A 10 minutes meditation. There are 2 types of meditation. There is the silent meditation. You just sit and listen to the inner voice, the observer, you observe reality. There is also the guided meditation. You can get into the guided meditation. It's a beautiful meditation. What I also want to help you to understand is this. There is in the observer principle, or the observer, I want to introduce you to the observer principle. It comes from Kemet. In Kemetic creation story, they tell us that Ptah, he was the creator. He sat in the mount, and then there was emptiness. So he started creating through the spoken word. So, okay, Ptah, he created the world, the universe, through the spoken word. So understand that by observing a reality, you can change that reality. By observing your life, by observing your journey, you can change the journey. So when you're fighting mental health challenges, for example, you can observe your life, observe your childhood, observe your teenage years, observe you as an adult, as a man, as a woman, as a partner, as a boyfriend, as a girlfriend. Observe. And then if you observe from not from a critical perspective, but from an acceptance perspective, not from critical acceptance, from loving perspective, you will change your journey. You will change your reality. So your life is the reality, and you start the process of observing this reality. This is the observer principle. It's known in the world of quantum physics. And then if you look into the book, The Hero's Journey, the second mind, there are 5 minds. The second mind is called the observer's mind. So observe your life, and by observing your life, you will change your life. You'll transform your life. Thank you very much indeed for watching this episode. It was a pleasure being here with you. Invest in yourself, love yourself, and then heal yourself. Hi, it's Nelson here. What role are you playing in your life? Are you the prince or the princess, the warrior, the lover, the magician, or the king? If you are interested, if you like our content about Kemet, about psychology, about mythology, about healing yourself, about growing and developing, go into the comment section. There is a link. You can join our community. So we are creating a community for people to come and get the help they need, grow and develop and become successful kings and successful queens. So I had many people who helped me a lot in my life, many people. So myself and Brother Clinton, he's based in the United States. I'm based in the UK with Brother Angelo. We want to help as many people as possible. So if you need help, you want to develop, you want to grow, it might be finance, it might be grow, personal development, self-healing. So join self-healing. Join our community, so click on the link below, join our community, and then start learning. Because the more you learn, the more powerful you become. Knowledge is power. You become powerful by collecting the right knowledge, the knowledge of the self. So the prince or the princess, the warrior, the lover, the magician, or the king or the queen. Do you want to create your own kingdom, for example? Do you want to develop? Do you want to grow? Do you want to understand yourself? Do you want to heal yourself? Do you want to succeed in life? Join our community and share your views. Join our community where you can share your views, your comments. It's all private, so there is no censorship. You can grow, you can learn and develop and become that beautiful human being which your mom and dad created you to be. So join us and start your hero journey.